Hey everybody, it's episode 103 of Tuesdays with Perry. I'm going to get Perry on the line right now. We're going to be talking about everything Trump. Inaugural day, it's been 24 hours, and oh, what a difference a day makes. So let's see if we can't get Perry on the line. Hey, Perry, how's it going? Are you there? I think we lost him. See if we can't get him back.
Hello.
There he is.
Hey.
What's happening, my friend?
Well, I was kind of kidding around with you this morning. What a difference a day makes.
It certainly does. It certainly does. Who is the 47th president of the United States?
Well, I'm sorry, Rudy. I didn't hear what you just said.
Who is it? Donald Trump, who's in the White House now? Can we tell?
Can we tell that it's Donald Trump and not Uncle Joe? Is that the question?
I think that's where we're going to get to. So we're going to talk about Trump versus Biden on the pardons. We obviously have a lot to talk about there. We're going to talk about the investment, $500 billion from SoftBank for Stargate, a new data center to power AI, integration. And apparently you want to talk about the State Department guy who's a lifelong bureaucrat who just got fired. And then the United States Coast Guard commandant also fired. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the border, and 51 intelligence agencies get their clearance revoked. Where do you want to start, Perry?
Wow. I mean, it's a target-rich environment tonight. So why don't we start with the difference between the people that each of these two presidents chose to pardon over the last 24 to 30 hours. All right, let's look at not only how the huge difference between people that were pardoned by Trump versus Biden, but how the press went about demanding Trump justify why he chose to pardon these 1,500 criminals in the eyes of the press. So let's look at how Biden didn't even have the courtesy, the gumption, or the decency to inform not only Trump, but the American people that he was going to pardon the J6 unjust committee members, starting with deep stater Liz Cheney, but not to end with her. His family members, and how he chose to do this all within the last 15 minutes of his presidency.
Right.
Okay? That is not only gutless, that is the sign of someone who does not respect the position he had the honor of holding for 4 years, but more importantly, how he disrespects the people he was given the power to govern over.
Right.
And
And he promised he
in my
wouldn't do
eyes,
it. He promised he wasn't going to do pardon his son. And who
I,
knew?
right. I'm really glad you mentioned that. You're right. But, and again, I've said this before, Rudy, we need to start flagging which shows you and I made predictions on, because both of us were in agreement prior to the debate against Trump in June that he was going to pardon his son, whether it was prior to him being sentenced or following sentencing, because of course being led in shackles to a federal detention center doesn't necessarily begin on the day that a judge decides to issue a sentence. So whether it was done before or after sentencing, you and I both said, come on, put aside the fact that Uncle Joe is as far as you and I are concerned, is a criminal and a traitor to our country. Put that aside. He's a father. And because he did such a poor job of fathering his son not only turned out to be a drug addict and an alcoholic, he turned out to be a high-priced white-collar criminal with a law degree. Okay? So, in my mind, why wouldn't he pardon him? But he didn't have the gumption to say it because he felt it would cost them votes. So he said the exact opposite. I am not going to pardon my son. So you and I, and we weren't the only ones, but you and I both said back in June, he's going to pardon his son.
Of course.
It's going to happen because that's what a father would do if given the power to do it. You know, right. I mean, there are a lot of things about my son that I regret, but he's a good kid, good young man. But I have my druthers about some things in the way he conducts himself as an individual. He doesn't break laws. He doesn't smoke pot. He doesn't drink. But there are things about him that I would like to see him to improve on at this point in his life. But that is on me as a father.
Right.
I can't blame him.
Right.
Something I missed, something I failed to do to instill in him enough to do the things I think he should be doing in life right now. So,
well, Joe
Biden
was showering with his kids.
Well, we don't know if he was showering with Hunter, but we know he was showering.
I think so. That's the rumor.
Well, maybe they had a threesome in the shower to save on water.
With Ashley, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. Let's move on to Stargate. So this was a recent press conference Trump just had with Sam Altman and what is the other guy from Cisco? And then
from Cisco is Larry
Ellison. That's right. And right. The guy, the CEO from SoftBank, Yoshi, right. Yeah. So they had a press conference, $500 billion, not taxpayer, mind you, but of SoftBank investment, which I believe is Japanese, into the United States, another $500 billion on top of their already invested or pledged $200 billion. But this $500 million is going to data centers to power AI revolution, right. I suppose. So,
right.
What's you want to explain what Stargate is? What is this big AI thing? I know they're trying to sell it as a health initiative, but it's $500 billion. What is $500 billion going to get us?
Well, I think the reason why Ellison tried to focus the conversation on health is because I think that's the easiest way to sell it, and the way he explained things. He was saying that, look, what AI is going to do is allow to be able to take whatever diagnosis he or she finds, go on to the internet, and through the use of AI, be able to look at every potential therapy through gene sequencing. This is where mRNA comes in,
Right.
and what AI is going to do is within less than a blink of an eye, be able to provide him all the information that he or she needs to make the proper diagnosis for cure,
Right.
including, of course, my better half went through this 5 years ago. I think we've talked about it on your show when she went through her fight and defeat of cancer. What they've been finding through intelligence software packages like CRISPR,
Right,
is they're finding new ways to kill cancer cells before they can create a problem in your body, because each and every human being on the face of this planet has cancer cells circulating through their body.
What else is the AI going to be doing? What is $500 billion else going to get us besides, well, they say the cure to cancer, but what else are we getting?
Well, what they're saying is, in addition to that, it's going to allow us to be 10 times more productive as individuals than we are right now. I'll give you an example. This was not discussed in the Oval Office tonight, but I think this is a good example. You are doing on a micro scale what all these huge podcasters from around the world are doing with a group of producers. You're doing it all by yourself, Rudy, which to me is a minor miracle. I don't know how you do it, because there's always something that goes wrong with and you got to be able to know how to source the problem so that you can correct.
Yeah. Funny. Yeah, I think we lost you, Perry, right on cue. Let's try to get him back.
I don't know where you lost me, but I think it was on my side.
Right when you were saying, I don't know how you do it, you have to deal with all these technical disruptions.
Okay, so
that's technology for you.
Right. Perfect timing. Okay, so here you are. You're at for lack of a better way of putting it, you've got your hands on the control board. You've got monitors that you're looking at. You're moving all these switches, all these dials. You're hitting all these keystrokes. Those are all things that the big podcasters have anywhere between 1 and 6 people doing for them. So all they have to do is look good in front of their camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
And perform, which is the hardest part.
Right. And so here you are. You're performing. I watch your show every morning.
Oh, thank you.
Well, it's not just because we're friends. You inform people, and that's the whole purpose of your show. And you allow your viewers, me included, to learn things that are in the media that I don't have the time to do myself. And
but if
allow me.
But if I could use AI, right? If I could use AI to do more, I'm going to be more productive with AI. Is this your point?
Well, you're not just going to be more productive. Your entire production every day is going to go smoothly, because instead of you needing 1 to 6 producers to use attenuators, this, that, and the other thing, AI is going to do it all.
Yeah.
AI is going to do it all. You're just going to be in front of the camera. You're going to push go, and there is AI. As a matter of fact, there is right now, as you and I speak tonight.
Yeah. So
there is a program.
Force multiplier. This is what we're talking about.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Right. There is a program right now I'm trying to talk my partner into buying. You know what it is? It's an AI receptionist. And I've actually seen it in operation. And if somebody calls, whether it's a 1-800-WATTS number or whether it's a local number, whatever it is, that person is a potential customer, potential client, potential patient. They call in, that software, not only does it sound like Alexa, okay, more importantly, it knows how to route that call.
Yep. Every
potential question that customer, client, patient, whatever, calls for, oh, you need an appointment with Dr. Jones? Great. We have one available tomorrow at 3 p.m. Will that work for you? And you do not know you are talking to a robot.
Man, the robot's going to take over. They're going to take over. Hey, man.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Two things are accomplished. Number one, for $200 a month, I don't have to worry about paying for a receptionist, which is costing me somewhere around $150 a day.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't have to pay benefits.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about them calling in sick or quitting because they got a better job at $200 a day.
Yeah, but robot revolution, you got to worry about that.
Well, it's kind of like.
No, I'll make it light. I'll make it light. I get you. Hey, in light of time, let's move on to the next subject here. Since we're talking, because we could go on and on about AI. This State Department lifer, this career politician, not even politician, this bureaucrat, was shown the door. Do you know who this person is?
Yes. I want to say it's Hooks.
Oh, okay.
And administrations, and he was part of the disaster who gave us Afghanistan and Iraq.
He's a State Department guy, or a Pentagon guy.
No, he's a State Department guy. So he was probably one of Victoria's boyfriends.
Right.
That's my guess. He was probably connected to Newland.
Okay.
And so he was unceremoniously shown the door, and
Brian
supposedly,
Hook. Yeah, Brian Hook. Yep.
There you go.
Bureau of Global Health, Security, and Diplomacy. Bureau of Intelligence and Research. Okay.
So that's a mouthful, and we can only imagine what else he was doing.
So what do we have to know about this traitor?
Well, it's more like, what should we know about him that we don't? The fact that the way the story broke today is that these are my words, this was not how the reporter wrote the story. He was part of the cabal, because it's always more than one, that led us into the disaster in both Afghanistan and Iraq. So this guy has been there for probably 25, and it is all about whether you want to call it mission or nation building. He's one of those.
Right.
Everything we do, meaning the State Department, we should do to further see around the world.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. I believe democracy is the best form of government there is. Okay? But you can't walk into a 7th century country like Afghanistan and bring some purple dye with you and have people put their finger on whichever candidate they suddenly are being told to vote for, because the whole process is alien to them.
Yeah.
And all that does, and as we have seen, is build two things: corruption and resentment, ultimately resentment. Which is why, after Uncle Joe destroyed everything Trump had laid out for him in order to pull out with honor. That's why the Taliban is not only back in control,
right,
after we have spent much blood and treasure over the course of roughly 23 years, okay, for nothing,
right,
nothing.
right,
Not to mention the hundreds of billions of dollars we spent keeping a corrupt government installed while they skimmed off the top and did little for their people. Oh, sure.
yeah,
Hilton came in and built a hotel for all the State Department employees to stay at. Okay. And yeah, roads got paved, and, you know, girls who were denied the opportunity for an education got educated. But what is being done to those same women today?
yeah. Yeah, well, we spent $1 trillion, and then we gave it back to the Taliban with the added bonus of state-of-the-art equipment. Let's move on to the United States Coast Guard Commandant, who was fired by Trump today, Linda Fagan, who was a big DEI proponent.
Not only was she a big DEI proponent, which is reason enough to have her removed from her command. Most importantly, what is the purpose of our military? Other than to kill people and break things, it's there to protect us so that they don't have to kill people and break things. Well, the responsibility of the Coast Guard is what, Rudy? It is to protect our coastlines. And, as is the case right now, to protect our interests on the high seas wherever we don't have our Navy. Most people are not aware of the fact that we still have Coast Guarders all the way over in the Indian Ocean and also in the Red Sea, in addition to our Navy. So the purpose of the Coast Guard when it comes to protecting our waters here is to interdict wherever there appears to be a criminal element within our protected waters. One of the big things that they're supposed to do is to catch drug smugglers who to this day are still using homemade submarines to elude.
And illegal immigrants.
Well, you beat me to the punch.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Okay? She was incapable of doing that because she was more concerned about DEI.
Yeah.
So she got a text message or an email with the two words, "You're fired." That was it. Goodbye.
Right.
Good riddance.
Yeah.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Keep going. Who do you think? Yeah. Go ahead.
Which kind of leads us right into the next story I read today. My favorite military man, Mark Milley.
You're out. You're fired.
This motherfucker, this traitor to our country. He should have been, and I've said this for the past 4 years, when he took it upon himself to contact his Chinese counterpart and say, "Don't worry, we're not," meaning the military, "we're not going to attack you. It doesn't matter what Trump wants us to do." That, my friend, right there is treason.
Right. Damn straight.
That alone, he should have been court-martialed. He should have gone through a court-martial hearing, and then he should have been shot for being a traitor.
Oh, shit.
And I know that sounds way above, but you need to send a message to any other member of our military brass. You ever take it upon yourself to ignore command, a lawful command, to ignore lawful command from the commander-in-chief. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Uncle Joe. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care if it was Carter. I don't care who it was. If it's a lawful command, you will obey that order.
Right.
And to do what he did right there is treason.
Damn straight. Giving it up to the Chinese.
That's right. That's right. He got off cheap today.
Yeah.
He was unceremoniously told and again, now this was on Fox News. This was on Brett Baer's show. They had supposedly he received a text, "You're fired." And the best part of all, for me, emotionally, 11 days ago, Uncle Joe was so proud to introduce him to the mural of him that was painted in his honor and placed in the hall. I don't know what they call it. It's a certain hall within the Pentagon for, I have to assume, every chief of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I have to assume every one of them has their mural on that wall. Well, 11 days ago, was his day of honor, and they unveiled it on the wall. Guess what? That mural ain't there anymore.
It's gone.
It's gone.
Well,
right along with them.
Well, that leads us to our next story. Trump revoked security clearances of Hunter Biden laptop letter signators. And that includes most particularly the leader of the group, John Brennan, but also Hayden and the other, I believe it was NSA chief, who's that other guy, the other bald guy, and many others that signed on to this document. So he was asked to do this before he left his first term, and Trump didn't. So Trump seems to be heeding the advice he didn't heed in his first term by really digging out the swamp.
Well, sure. And the reason why is not only has he had 4 years to watch these traitors like John Brennan continue to spew lies, whether it's about J6 or whether it's about Afghanistan or whatever, the subject du jour on Communist News Network is, he's on there spewing lies. If he's spewing lies and continues to do so, well, why would that man have a right to confidential information and in some cases, very, very secured information? So the fact that Trump didn't do it 4 years ago, he was trying to be a nice guy and not come across as a last-minute dictator. He saw that did him absolutely no good with these people.
Right.
So why keep them around? Let's get rid of them as need be done. It should have been done 4 years ago.
Including,
I go on X all the time. For some reason, I'm connected to Michael Hayden. I don't follow him, but every now and then he's got to have something to say about Trump is a traitor. And I go right on to his feed and I say, Michael, the only traitor in this conversation is you.
Right.
And it's a good thing for you that I'm not POTUS, because you would be 6 feet under after being proven in a military tribunal for being the traitor to this country. You are, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, that's why I don't want somebody knocking on my door. I don't. They haven't come after me yet. So anyhow.
They will. They will. They put the ghost in the machine as far as we're concerned.
Hey,
so
bring it.
There's a lot going on, a lot of executive orders that were talked about. It took us out of the WHO, got us off the Paris Climate Accord.
That's right.
Undid and redid all the things, opened up all the, day one, opened up Anwar and Alaska Refuge for drilling, canceled Biden's a Green New Deal, canceled everything. What else do you want to talk about? There were 26 executive orders dealing with the border. We could start there if you like. Obviously, the border's closed. No new immigrants allowed.
Well, here's what's interesting about the border being closed down. Technically, it was closed yesterday at 1 o'clock. Technically. Remain in Mexico was reinitiated yesterday at 1 o'clock.
Right.
They also turned off that ridiculous app.
The CBP card, yeah, yep.
Yes. So, and that was done at 12:01.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. So, and he said the existing wall is all fitted for electronics, so they can start wiring that shit right up with the new surveillance equipment, and obviously finish the wall. I don't know if they could save some of the wall that hadn't been put up that Biden was actually auctioning off. I heard that they didn't sell much of it.
And from what I understood, Governor Abbott was making a play for every panel that was getting auctioned off.
Oh, good.
So now the press hasn't done a very good job of following up on that story.
Right.
Okay. Put that aside. What's happening right now, you're not hearing about. The only thing I've heard in the last 36 hours was that Tom Homan already had a handful of raids around the country.
Yep.
Planned,
hitting all the blue cities.
And they had to cancel them all. You know why? Word leaked out.
Oh, really? Yeah. He's got a mole.
So now we need to find the mole.
Yeah.
And once we do, we need to prosecute them.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be it's going to be a cat and mouse thing. I mean, we knew this, but he just wanted to set the tone right off the bat, which is good. And you got to do what you can. You know, it's
right.
When you got to go to war with the city, probably unlikely, but we'll see.
Well, we'll see about that. But you know, what did the press cover last night? Oh, that's right. They covered the illegal alien who was bawling her eyes out because the app was shut down before she could complete the application to get temporary status.
Oh, but you know what broke today? The Vermont Customs and Border Patrol agent that was trying to make an arrest in Vermont
was shot and killed.
Yeah, so
it
seems it seems always the day Trump takes office, there's this ferocious immigrant attack. When he took office in 2017, that young girl was shot on the San Francisco pier in the stomach by a repeat illegal immigrant. So that person in Vermont, that officer had been shot by an illegal immigrant. We know we got immigrant crime, but the deportations will start probably immediately, and we'll see what we get.
They've already started.
Yeah.
They've already started.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're underway. We're at least, it seems like he's taken the ship of state and turned it around on a dime, which is pretty good sailing. Pretty good sailing in my book.
You know, it's almost impossible to fathom that this much good could be accomplished in 24 hours.
Yep.
Yet here we are. And again, I go back to the lame brain media, which, you know what, Rudy? They don't matter anymore.
Right.
You know who matters? You do. And all your brethren like you who are reporting the news and have probably more people, and I'm talking about grouping you all together, you have more people paying attention to news every day because of your efforts than every form of the lame brain media combined, whether it is the New York Slimes or it's Communist News Network or PMSNBC or one of the other alphabet channels. It doesn't matter. Time Magazine doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
Okay? That's why they put Trump on the cover to sell magazine.
Right.
It wasn't because they think he deserves to be man or person of the year. They did it because they're going broke. Nobody wants to spend money with them and advertise in their useless magazine because all it is propaganda.
Yeah.
So when I look at the media, the lame brain media, and you know, the fact that people like you are the ones reporting on the horrible death that was committed by an illegal alien, okay, up in Vermont. Why wasn't that question put to Trump by this moron that kept squawking at the
Right. He probably did.
podium.
Yeah, he probably didn't know that broke almost at the exact same time. And it is kind of like the last soldier dying in the last war. You know what I mean? It's like it just seems like we're going to make all these great efforts, but it didn't save that agent.
Well, I don't think it's going to be the last because the
No,
military.
it's just an expression. You know, it seems like
Yeah,
the day
but,
the war starts, he's got to die.
Right. But going on that same premise, let's shift gears and talk about one of the other steps that Trump took yesterday, and it was enacted by the Pentagon today. The military, federalized troops, are on their way right now to the southern border.
Oh, really?
Right now.
Okay, that's breaking. Okay.
Yep. And so now supposedly there are limitations as to what they can do, but whatever they do,
right,
it's going to make the job of the Border Patrol that much easier to manage.
Yeah, I think it's self-evident even to immigrants. Like Trump takes office, they knew this day's coming. They're like they're not even going to try, and that's what
right.
it's just a deterrence. That's peace through strength, so to speak.
Right.
Is you get people to do what you want to do, and you don't have to do anything except threaten a tariff or threaten to
and what yesterday and today he's threatening tariffs today.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Okay, he's opening up.
Yeah, I'd like to explain to people though, the threat of a tariff is not a tariff. The threat of a tariff is not a tariff. So before you get your panties in a bunch, the threat of a tariff is not a tariff.
But I'll tell you who he is probably as things stand right now, who he's probably going to put tariffs on. Believe it or not, it's not going to be China. It certainly isn't going to be our brothers and sisters in Canada. And it's almost certainly not going to be Mexico. It's going to be the EU.
Yeah, maybe.
Now, why did he say that? I watched the words come out of his mouth. They refused to buy our cars. Not the citizens, the governments. They refused to allow American cars, any kind of American products, to be brought into the EU. So he said, there has to be reciprocation. We buy your cars, we buy your trucks. If you're not going to let us sell in your countries, then we're going to tariff your products.
Yeah. Free trade isn't fair trade.
Correct.
Yeah, I've always said that. It's like people don't understand how trade works. I mean, free trade is good in some instances, but it's got to be fair trade, and Trump is leveraging the American market, which is the biggest on the planet, most consumer dollars spent. If you want to come and play at our table, you got to pay.
Right.
Why should we be broke? And that's the way the United States used to make, the federal government used to make their income, was strictly on trade tax.
Well, that's something else that Trump said yesterday. He said, I'm getting rid of all the IRS agents, but I'm not really getting rid of them. But instead of them being IRS, they're going to be ERS.
Right.
External Revenue Service.
Yeah. And that's the way
it should be. And I'm going to make sure those countries who don't play fair with the United States pay tax.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
That's what you do. And like you said, I'm going to go back and I'm going to give you the props you deserve. The threat of a tariff does not mean we're going to institute tariff.
Yeah, it's not a tariff. It belongs more in the State Department than it does in the Department of Commerce or whatever.
Commerce, that's right. That's right.
Because it's just, he knows how to get a bargain, so to speak. He knows how to make the deal. He's the art of the deal, whatever. So he's doing that, and that's great. One more word before we go, Perry.
Yeah, very quickly. I do want to go back Biden pardons.
Yes.
because I think it's important.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the J6 committee, the whole committee, because I guess in unison they destroyed all the evidence.
Correct. And the reason why I wanted to go back is because you just started to steal my thunder, but you left me enough to look like I know what I'm talking about. The fact that Biden issued all these preemptive pardons for the J6 unjust committee opens the door, and it in my opinion, opens it. It takes it off the hinges, is what it does. Because I said this a couple of weeks ago on your show, and there were, I don't know if it was Jonathan Turley, but it was a constitutional attorney over the weekend, and he said almost verbatim what I said. They can be forced to testify. They cannot be charged with a crime,
right,
unless they perjure themselves.
Yeah.
So they can then be tried as an unindicted co-conspirator
For perjury. Yeah.
for perjury.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think there should be a show trial.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't care if they never spend a day in jail.
Right.
I want them to be bankrupted like they did to Michael Flynn.
Yeah, absolutely.
And others.
Yeah.
There were others too.
We'll see
okay.
we'll see what happens. Let's overturn one stone at a time. We're gonna have to start with the FBI.
Right.
And then the State Department and the CIA is going to be a tough nut to crack. But it
is, but we have the right people going into office to do it.
Let's clean up the home front first, and we'll start dealing with that octopus arm of the State Department. Anything else you got to say before we go?
There is a lot to get done, but we have the man to get it done. And as somebody, I think it was on the 5 said today, it may have been Greg Gutfeld, he may get so much done in his first 3 months that he may turn to JD and say, JD, I've done all I can do.
Yeah.
I'm going to resign. You take over.
Yeah. Well, let's not hope he has to, stop working 1 day short of his 4-year term. And then we'll have 8 years of JD. He has plenty of time, got 4 years to learn, and then 8 years to execute. All right. Thanks for joining me today, Perry. There's more to talk about. Of course there is. There's so much to talk about that we didn't hit, like birthright citizenship. We'll do it next.
Oh, gosh, that's right.
We'll hit that next week. But thanks for joining me. And Perry, man, you've been a great person to talk to so far for 103 episodes. Thanks for joining me. And we'll talk soon, okay?
Oh, absolutely, Rudy. The feeling is mutual. Thank you for giving me this platform, and thank you for being the great friend that you've been over the decades. And here's to us getting together again 7 days from now.
7 days from now, yeah. And maybe for real in March. We'll see. All right, I think it's April. I think it's April. Talk to you next week, Perry.
All right. See you then.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye. There goes Perry down in Florida, a good friend of mine, and a staunch and well-read conservative. So it's great to have us get together every week and talk about politics. There's a lot to talk about because we're both Trump supporters. All right, thanks for joining me and Perry tonight. We'll see you next week. Peace out.
What you did was wrong.